Are you tired of battling your sweet tooth? I have some great news. You don't have to any longer. So these are the things that I found that worked best for me, and honestly, from the research that I've read, it shows that these are very common ways to overcome sugar addiction and cravings. So number one is abstinence. And I'm not talking about moderation, because moderation doesn't work. When you're constantly reigniting those pathways, you're never going to overcome this issue. You're poking the bear. Just stop. So when it comes to abstinence from foods, it's so different from abstinence from drugs, because a drug is unnecessary for human life. You don't need to smoke or drink in order to sustain life, but you do have to eat. So you are going to encounter this problem not just once a day, but several times a day for the rest of your life. So you have to learn what your trigger foods are. For me specifically, it was any kind of concentrated food. So whether that was dried fruit or peanut butter or flour products of any kind or alcohol, I could not consume these items, let's call them, because they're too concentrated for me. I'm too sensitive. I pick up on everything in my environment. I can't even drink caffeine. It's too much for me. And it takes a while to figure out your trigger foods. I mean, it took me a number of years. You really have to know yourself. When you notice that you're all of a sudden craving and you weren't craving prior to eating something, start to really pay attention to that food, because that food could, in fact, be causing your cravings, whether it's for that particular food or for sugar. You have to keep in mind how your brain works and how these mechanisms were developed over, centuries as cavemen, as opposed to this new environment where you're constantly bombarded with salt, sugar, and oil all the time and all these highly palatable foods. So this is a trial and error process. You just have to try one food, see if you're constantly obsessing about it, and then if you absolutely feel like you can't live without it, that's when you know it's a problem and it's gotta go. The next thing that worked for me was consistent, regular exercise. And not just any exercise, but vigorous. The more vigorous the exercise, the more cravings go away. And you can find out more about this in a video I produced earlier. I'll link here. But for now, I just want to mention that the more you incorporate regular physical activity of any form into your days, the more you will naturally rebalance these chemical imbalances and neurological disturbances, because you will regain a natural form of endorphins and satisfaction throughout your life. The third thing that really helped me along this journey was keeping myself educated. Always, always, always be learning. I don't care if you have a PhD in this subject. You should constantly be checking the research and staying informed, because it changes daily. But what this education did was remind me and keep me hopeful that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Because when you are craving so badly that you can't even do your work when you're at your desk, that is a big problem. When you can't even appreciate your loved ones when you're sitting with them at the dinner table because you're too busy obsessing about dessert, that's a problem. But when I learned that these cravings will go away if you white knuckle it for 1 to 3 days, after that the cravings diminish more and more and more and become less severe. After I knew that's all I had to do was get past those 1 to 3 days, and then it was sort of downhill from there, I could do it. But I will be honest with you, the cravings for me, because of the degree that I used to consume sugary foods, it took me between 6 and 9 months to really feel like I was getting a hold of my addiction to sugar products. And today I will still have the occasional piece of birthday cake or something, but only if I make it myself. So pretty much once a year on my daughter's birthday is when I get some sweet treat, but beyond that, I'm perfectly fine abstaining. There's 2 more things I want to mention. Well, sort of 3. The next thing you need to keep in mind when trying to overcome these cravings is to stay hydrated. It's so important to consume enough water when you're trying to overcome any kind of craving, because you will never get past it if you're in that state of dehydration. Another thing is sleep. Sleep deprivation will inevitably lower your willpower and lead you to have all sorts of blood sugar imbalances, and that's when you're going to get more severe cravings. So try to stay, I know it's difficult, but try to take good care of yourself in that manner. And that's not the only place you should be taking care of yourself. Other areas of stress in your life, like your job or your relationships, should really be analyzed, because these could be another stressor that could be triggering those cravings. I ended up quitting a job I was miserable at and getting rid of several relationships that weren't serving me. And that's when I finally came to a place in my life where I felt in control of these cravings. I promise you, it is worth it. It is worth having a calm, collected mind. You don't need those things in your life. I know quitting your job isn't ideal, but if it's causing you to be miserable on a daily basis, whether it's perpetuating your cravings or whether it's the job itself that you just hate and you dread going to every day, that's going to keep you in a place in life that's not worth being in. I know the alternative is scary, but sometimes it's worth it. Not only worth it, but the best thing for you. And the last tidbit I'll give you guys today is to find social support or any kind of social group that will provide you with some kind of reprieve when it comes to this experience and these cravings and how overwhelming they can be and how all-consuming they can be in your life. This may be impacting you in ways you don't even realize until you get the proper care and start moving in the direction towards recovery. I sincerely hope you guys found value in this video, and I hope to hear all about your situations in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.